What's going on, guys? Today I want to do a review for the Terremoto 10 version 2, which I'm using a version 1 for my comparison video, but it's basically the same stuff, just a couple key components changed out. So for the most part it's going to be the exact same thing, but I also have some things that I've dealt with myself, some things that some of my customers have dealt with, and feedback that I've gotten from customers using this truck, some things to look out for if you haven't bought one yet, and also some things that you might want to fix or address if you had just gotten one, maybe are not aware of some of the issues with the truck, maybe you haven't got to the point where you bashed it enough where it was an issue. So, alright, first things first. First time I did the video with the unboxing and a couple others afterwards, they were coming with the 60 amp ESC, which clearly, like I mentioned, I thought was completely underpowered. Well, they wound up going with the 80 amp, which was the same one that I put in mine from day one. Well, day 5 after the first one went up. But so this is the 80 amp, same one that's in the Terremoto, earthquake, landslide. I'm missing one, but same ESC. It's completely capable of powering that 3000 kV motor without any problems. So you know, that's a bonus. Waterproof. And if you do want to upgrade to this ESC, you would want to either get this ESC box or the upgraded ESC box from the Terremoto 8 like I have. So another thing they did when they did this, they kind of snuck it in, to be honest with you, and I think that Redcat themselves don't even know about this yet. So I keep meaning to bring this up to my rep because I would like to get the actual bumper ovals and things that I need, but it looks like they addressed the weaker bumper ovals in the front too, which I brought up when I did the T-Bone video. The one I sent to T-Bone had the 3 style, so that's what they made, and of course mine had the 2, but this has three hookup points in the front and rear. Doesn't make it, I mean, if anybody see my landslide video, this is what I was talking about with it being on these buffer guards. These are the buffer guards right here. So these are the weak point on this truck. So clearly the T-bones will fix that issue, but there's just so much flex. Like, this is what I was so impressed with the landslide, using the same setup, and it didn't have that flex. I mean, that rips off almost every single time I do a wheelie or anything major, you know, when I was running my truck prior. So same thing, a lot of flex here, way more flex. The skid for the landslide comes up and covers it better. And again, I mentioned the landslide because it uses a lot of the same parts, same arms and things like that for this truck. So version 2 steering, clear difference. This is awesome. If I can get these in, I'll do my best to let people know that they're out there. I can't really advertise them, but again, once I'm available to get something like this, I will. But as of right now, this is what you're stuck with. So you got the version 2, which is basically the servo laying flat here. The horn's connected to the servo and comes up and connects to the linkage piece. Now this piece on the horn is split. So what can happen is, where the horn is connected at, it can actually separate where the spring is. So if you go to turn, sometimes you might think your steering is not steering as sharp as it could. That's your first spot you want to check. You want to put this thing on the ground, you want to turn your remote, you want to see if this is separating whatsoever right here at the servo horn. If it is, you know, some people are gluing them together, some people are, you know, putting a piece of tape around them, real thick rubber band, that way it has a little bit of flex still. But again, the flex you want is in the spring, not this separation piece. So again, it's just it was a rushed system, as I spoke about before, and I really hope we see a version 3 where they actually sit down, take time, and figure out how to put this back under here, have a nice service saver that actually doesn't rely on springs and things like the Blackout and the Terremoto 10 went with, and the 8 actually after the version revision. So that is the issue right here, starting off with this whole setup. And then, you know, again, mentioned in other videos, the links. I mean, you can see the play I have right here just on the links alone. So what I have is the version 2 conversion, which I do not have on my truck because I can't show you, but it's going to connect these 2 links together right here. Removes this screw, you put another screw in. This is threaded, so you put some Loctite in here, put your threaded screw through, and that's going to stiffen that up a good bit, especially if you do this and fix your servo horn issue, it's going to fix a lot of that slop that you see. Mainly, you know, a lot of times you see, most people see it in the reverse really clearly. So, you know, that's what we're looking for, is that slop, that play, that wobble. So that's how you take care of that while we're exposing the rear end here. Again, I've gotten T-bones made for this. T-bone now is selling them on the website. They have theirs, but I have them in stock. You don't have to order them. So if you want to order from me, you're going to get it, you know, quicker time frame than what they are, which is a made-to-order setup. So it's one of the benefits I do have, and plus I'm selling them pretty much the same price with free shipping, whereas they're selling them plus shipping. So oh, no, not this side. Wrong piece. This is something I asked T-Bone to make. Again, they didn't go off the exact design, but they got exactly what I wanted right, and that was coverage of the motor. Now, I mean, this one, the way they have this right now actually is a little bit different than what I remember mine, which the motor wires were up here. This is really bad. This is this is extremely dangerous right now with the way this was. I'm just noticing it actually now for the first time. That is the part right here where, for example, this motor was in here, and you can see what happened to this corner on this motor right here. So if this is happening on this motor where it's scraped up that bad, I mean, that's the can. So this is just going to get shredded. So again, you know, I don't know if there's any way they put these in factory. I think mine came with it up here, and I do remember mine getting a little bit bumped up there. And again, if you're not going over big boulders and you know, things like that, you might not have that, but they are very exposed right here. And with that being exposed, having the plate, which I haven't put mine on yet because I just got them in and really haven't had a chance to, but having this plate here, regardless if you leave that open or not, is going to cover it all completely. So these wires are now protected. The motors are even more protected. It slopes up a little bit here, and these are on the website as well. As far as the kit pricing, I mean, if you want one by itself, I mean, I'll accommodate on occasion, but you won't find it on my website. You have to hit me up through Facebook, or you have to message me, you know, through the website or something like that, or call me, one way or the other. But that's the only way you're going to get this by itself, you know, or going through T-Bone. But this is a plus, man. This is something I was excited to take care of. Personally, though, you know, if I got one gripe about what T-Bone did, I did ask for it to come up. I wanted it to come up and somehow just here and come down. Kind of like the factory one did, just leave that slope in there. It just gives it a more finished look, I think, if they would have done that. But again, that's, you know, I can't be there when they're doing it and double check everything, and they know what they're doing, I guess, for the most part. But I think if they would had, you know, it just would have hid the wires a little bit more, made it look a little bit better. But again, that's here and there. The purpose of the plate is served, and I'm very happy with it. So that's something you might want to look into, because that's going to be one area that you have to deal with. What else goes on with this truck? The hubs. These things, if you snap one, say if you do a cartwheel or something, you snap this hub off right here and you shear it. So now this hub is broken right here. So most people call me, oh, I broke my hub. So all you do is you take this hub off and you flip it to this side of the truck. Now the broken part is up here, and you connect it back here. Same thing on this side. Anything on this side will flip to this side if you break one of those off. So keep that in mind. You know, take advantage of that. Unless you really break it and you crack that open where the bearing's half out, you know, you don't really need to address that. Personally, I've cartwheeled this truck more times than I wanted to, and I've broken these a bunch of times. So I went with the aluminum knuckles. And I mean, they're a little bit pricier. My website should be the only website that you find these on. You know, there's reasons for that, but for the most part, these should be the only website you find them on for now. And you know, they're pricey, but again, I wanted them. I like them. And again, before you guys ask, there's nothing special about this link. I just coated it with the same thing I did my with the same thing I did my MT10E link with, and that was the spray that tough as whatever it is. It's like a metallic spray, but I did that on the fronts and not the rear. So I'm waiting for the new style T-bones to come in, which I requested with the bar instead of this style. You know, this is a great style, but I do have a bar setup coming, and those will look a little bit better, I think, for this truck, removing the bumper. And I'm waiting for that to come. I'm going to revisit, you know, kind of redo all mine. I haven't really touched mine since I put the XE Run in it and did some testing. So, but anyway, that's all that. The links themselves are the same. Everything in here is the same. The hubs are just aluminum, and then same thing here. Stub axles are the same. I just have the 1/2-inch adapters on them. Again, they may or may not be on my website. If they're not, you can message me. I do sell them, but I got a very low inventory on them, and I keep track pretty well, keep, you know, a good grasp on it. So those give it much more, you know, as I've showed in my videos, those give it much more of a balanced platform, as well as with the shocks that I did, which these are like 114 millimeter shocks. These are about 104, so it's about 10 millimeter difference. So even just sitting here, you can see these are sitting up a little bit. So if I let this down, I mean, you barely see that from the top angle, but if you let that down, it's got some room there from where it's sitting at. So that 10 millimeter, that's about your 10 millimeters there. Maybe that and a little bit negative, because mine's got the wobble, because neither arm's laying completely flat. I mean, it's almost straight across, which personally I love. For me, it's perfect. You know, I got no issue whatsoever with it, because the style of this truck I use this truck for is street type stuff, real hard surfaces, stuff that I want to go 50 miles an hour and cut that wheel and have it slide and not flip, and not worry about tearing my body up, not worrying about tearing up links and things like that. So technically I probably don't even need these anymore, because doing everything else kind of cut my cartwheeling down, unless it's been by me just messing around and goofing off. But so that's one plus right there. I mean, if you want to lower it, it's great. You lose about 10 millimeters of clearance, basically, of the ground clearance of the vehicle. So actually it would probably equal about 15 millimeters, just basically because you know, the pitch, you're losing it here. It might come off a little bit different of an angle, you know, with the A-frame, because that is much more A-framed than what mine is. So, but regardless, it's still it's still worth it to me. I would never change it. It's not going back. They do have other shocks that I found, but you know, again, I like this platform. I love everything about it. I won't change this truck at all until something breaks or makes me. So again, speaking of braking, I haven't had but a few issues with this truck. All of them, the majority of my issues have been in the buffer guards, whether it's front and rear, mainly the rear. I mean, I've broken rear buffer guards the day I put them on. So those, because of the bumper, you know, I don't wheelie much, but when I get in the grass, you know, it does wheelie up. And, you know, the platform's not set to wheelie. The way I have everything lowered, it doesn't wheelie as much as a 3S regular one with bigger wheels jacked up would do. But it does wheelie a little bit on occasion. So, and that's when I wind up ripping my bumper off, prior to the T-bones again. But that is something there that's fixed to me, but that's something you need to look at if you don't have that. These rear buffer guards are very weak, and these bumpers will just kind of pull up, and they can break. So keep that in mind. There's a wheelie bar option for this as well that will, you know, kind of give you the wheelie bar option for those that are looking for a wheelie bar instead of that setup. I've had the upper arm break on mine, where it split right here. Again, a couple nasty cartwheels. I JB welded it, fixed it. It was split, held up pretty well. I clamped it, put JB weld on it, took it off. I mean, that thing lasted a good bit more. And wound up re-breaking it and decided just replacing the arm, no big deal. You know, you're looking at, I think it's something ridiculous. It's very cheap. These arms, everything is well built. It's got a good feeling. I say cheap as in replacement. I mean, the parts are not expensive, man. And these trucks run really good. The thing they do have that is kind of expensive to repair that happens with this truck, and it's really not expensive to repair, but it's because they didn't have the right parts in stock to take care of that, which I just noticed they will, and I also will have them as well once I get them in stock. Or once they get them in stock, I will get them in stock. But that is the rebuild kits for the CVAs. Includes the ring and the CVA pin that goes through the stub axle, which a lot of people will shear that pin off. A couple people break it. I mean, it happens a lot. I've had 2 of them happen to me. That's it. You know, the whole time I've owned this truck, I've had it happen to me twice. Again, some people are the way you drive it differently, things like that. I had it break on me twice. I did have it an issue though, which again might be somebody else's issue. I did have it where it was coming out, where it would be gone. It would be disappeared. I might find it, you know, laying on my floor somewhere else, my table, things like that, after I hooked everything back up, and go like, man, what the hell just happened? I just fixed this. And what would happen is the pin would just fall out of the hole, because if you look at the little hole in the end, it's the little hole right here, which I don't know how good this is going to make it show. Anyway, if you can't see it or not, but anyway, that hole gets bored out a little bit, and then you'll see it's a little bit more oval. And when that happens, the pin's got too much movement in there, and even with the ring on there to hold that, it's still got room on the inside to move and adjust. And once that pin wiggles with all that back and forth torque, man, that these trucks got, it can fall back down there. You can lose it once that thing slides off and the pin comes out. Pin falls out, people think they broke them again because it's happened before. So keep an eye when you do replace those pins, if you ever do have that issue. The CVS set's good because it does come with the stub axle as well. But you know, if you only sheared the pin and your hole looks good, just get the replacement kit. It's only going to give you what you need to replace that. Keep a couple on hand just to have it. Again, it's not been a major issue to me, but I know a couple people that have said they lost 4 or 5 or 6 of them. And again, how many of them are because the hole is too big and they're falling out and they're just associating it with the breakage? So I can't really answer that question. So that's most likely what's happening in my opinion. But again, back to the trucks. So almost done here. I mean, that's pretty much it for braking, man. I haven't broke, like I said, that's what I've broke, is the arm, the pins, and the buffer guards on this truck. That's it. You know, again, this is not an everyday runner for me, but oh, and I did break the center spur rod. I apologize. I did break the center spur rod. That is basically just a rod with a spur on it, and it broke it out in the cold. So if that was a center diff, of course, I would never been able to break that. So I did upgrade to the center diff, as many know. But this is inside this box for those that don't know. So you have a spur gear connected to a rod in here, and that spur gear connects to another spur that's connected to a pin shaft, and that pin shaft has another pinion on it which connects to the spur gear. So that spur gear moves this rod, which changes that shaft and turns the spur. So it's basically a reduction gear system. This truck's about 42 miles an hour. Here you put this in like an earthquake with the same tires and everything else, you're going to get about 50 out of it, like I used to prior to this truck releasing. So you know, the motor itself is nice. Same thing with the Blackout. Direct drive, it's going to be about 50 mile an hour motor. So that it loses a little bit of its oomph in here. Keep that in mind if you're upgrading and wondering why any motor you put in this thing might not be as fast as, you know, if it's something that you took out that was a direct drive. But yeah, there's very, very limited on these. The reduction gears and things like that, you can only change the spur gear and the gear it meshes with, and that's it. The other two stay the same, the spur gear and the other gear, they mesh. They'll always be plastic on plastic, but the upgrades obviously give you a chance to do the steel as well. So you got down gearing and you got up gearing. I sell kits that simplify it for you and give you a little bit of a discount. So if you want to go down to the 1515, I think it's the down gear. I think I called it, I don't know, and I know the one's called the down gear, and then you got the up gear, which is the 1820, which I do not recommend anybody running the stock setup. You're going to stress the ESC, and you're also going to stress the motor. It already gets hot as it is right now, which is one of the negative things about the truck with the motor being in here again with the reduction gears. It's still working, trying to push that 50 miles an hour, but the reduction gears are making it only perform to about 42, 43 miles an hour, depending on where you're running at and things like that. So, but the motor's still full blast. When you're hitting 40 miles an hour, the motor's still doing the same thing like it was in mine. So it's getting hot. So you just got to keep that in mind. That's reduction gears, even though you're looking at it saying, oh, it's only a 40 some mile an hour truck, why does the motor get so hot? That's one of the reasons, is it's not working any less. You will be able to find as well as an add-on the heat sinks I sell, which this will just clip right over top of this. You know, again, sometimes you gotta move the motor, lift this plate, and just snap it on. But this will help take care of some of the motor heat and then of course you can find ones with fans and things like that if you want to wire it up there. You know, unless you're getting like a WTF fan or a high-speed fan, man, don't worry about them cheap fans that come with these. The other setups, I mean, they're really not putting out enough to worry about, and sometimes they cut down on the heat sink that's actually could help, you know, take care of it, especially when you're traveling on the side. The wind's getting through these, hanging off the side like that, so it's getting airflow through it, man, more than a fan's going to blow just by the design. So most people think that fan's doing a ton to help. It's really not on a setup like this where it's exposed. When it's closed inside a truck like this, yeah, that fan, this WTF fan, is going to put out way more and help me a bunch more than any other fan that I would put on it, besides another high-speed fan, because it's closed and it's blowing cool air where the hot air is trapped under the body. So again, big difference with this hanging off the side. This is all you really need. If you want to go ahead and put a fan and a more expensive setup on there, by all means go ahead, but that really is all you need. So I mean, that's again, without talk, we already talked about the T-bones, covered some of that. The strap system, I may bring these back in, but I mean, you can find these. They're PureTech. They're dual strap system that adheres to the top of the chassis. It's got the 2 straps. Once you upgrade this ESC box, which will allow you, I mean, I've had the Quick Run 150 in here, which is actually why I had this cut out. I probably wouldn't have had to cut it out for this. I might have still done so just because it's a high-speed fan and I wouldn't have wanted to obstruct any of the airflow. But for the most part, it's big enough to handle that size of ESC as well, and I just had to cut the top out because it was a little thicker of an ESC. But any, you know, Max 8, any of the SC8s, any of the XC runs, the XR8s, which is what this is, will all fit in here with no problem. So if you're looking for a bigger box, you have that. But again, it's removing this back post. So once you remove this back post, you have to do a setup like this, or, you know, like I used to have with a strap coming over top for temporary purposes, something along the line to hold the battery. This just works better. So that's that. Again, everybody can do it. It mounts right to the chassis. Uses the same holes, these 4 holes, instead of using, I think, 2 here and 2 here down the bottom. So, but the holes are already on the chassis for you, even though this is version 1, doesn't matter. Holes are still there for you. That's pretty much like the gist of everything that you kind of want to look out for, you know, about what could go wrong. That's all I've seen. That's all I've gotten feedback from. Occasionally, and everybody's got different accents. You know, you get people that bend the drive shafts, things like that. You got people that smack something and need a shock tower replaced or something along that line. You know, everybody does things a little bit differently. You'll get more broken up in arms, lower arms. Very rarely do I sell pack of lower arms for this truck though. So, and there is no upgrades for those unless something comes out for the landslide, which uses the same upper and lower arms. You know, maybe if that truck kicks off, which this truck did already, they might eventually make the arms, since they're available for multiple trucks, it would be more beneficial to them because they could sell it to more of a market. This is the 4300 kV XC run. I did have the 4300, I'm sorry, I did have the 4000 3660 in here, which is the same length can motor. Plenty torque. Again, people want to go out and put a Gould RC motor in, things like that. This XC run, the censored motor, man, with this truck, with it lowered, I mean, this thing's track ready, and I don't even run on the track. I mean, this thing could probably go out right now and you know, blow some people away at the track with somebody that actually handled it and had some experience driving. I mean, it just handles, it turns, it cuts, it's real sharp on the steering. It's got a great powerful motor in it, you know, great throttle control. So it's just a good setup. But clearly you see a 3660 is not the max, but you do want to stick to around a 36 can motor. You can go a little bit fatter if you do upgrade, but a 36 can motor, anything more, you can be pressing up on this plate here, which you got a little room you can play with. You can shave down a little bit, but you also got to worry about that drive cup back there, which reminds me, that drive cup pin sometimes comes out. I almost thought about it. It's never been an issue to me. I think I Loctited it the first time I heard somebody have that issue, but there it is right there. It's kind of like the MT10E. Just take it out, put some thread lock in there, man, you'll never have an issue with it. But again, back to this. If you get a fatter cam motor, if you go like a 40 cam motor, man, you're going to be pushing into where that drive cup is if you get like a 4070, because a 4070 will fit, like a 7072 will fit up here if you get a 36. But, you know, again, watch out putting a fatter one in there. It's something you might not be thinking of, and you don't want to cause yourself any issues. But I mean, that's what I got, man. just things I want to cover on this. Again, the version 1's completely different. I can't really get too many comparisons there. It's just an awesome setup, but I can't get it right now, and I'm working on it, so really no point in talking about it. But that's covered everything I wanted to with this. Things to look out for. So hopefully I help some people out there that's thinking about getting this truck. It's a freaking awesome truck, man. But it does come with the 2S, so 3S is definitely an option that you want to pursue, unless it's for a child or somebody you want to start off with fresh, or if you're just coming from brushed, grab yourself the 2S. But get the 3S, man. Have it on hand, because it's a whole nother animal on 3S, and then you can actually start opening up and have some fun with it. But those are things to look out for, man. If you buy this truck, grab some parts. Those are the parts you're going to want most likely, and you might be happy to have them on hand if something does happen. So again, hit me up. I got packages I can put together, stuff like that for you at the time of purchase of a truck. People that already have one, put a little bundle together of a little couple parts and things like that break often. Just let me know. So if you guys have any questions, hit me up in the comments section. Check me out, redcatdealer.com. If you guys have any comments or things like that you want to drop for me, or things you want to see coming in the future, drop me a comment as well and let me know. Alright guys, thanks for watching.